So this is going to start off with some stuff from yesterday, or last week, I should say. These are actually names of postulates and theorems that we're going to give. If two parallel lines are cut by a transversal, then pairs of corresponding angles are congruent. There's your key word. That is the corresponding angles postulate. That's the same theorem. Angles theorem, technically. If parallel lines are cut by a transversal, then two pairs of interior angles are congruent. That's the alternate interior angles. And if two parallel lines are cut by a transversal, then two pairs of alternate exterior angles are congruent. I should see everybody taking notes right now. Now, when we took our notes on this, we actually there was like a chart, remember? And on the left side, it said the name of the theorem. In the middle, it told you if it was congruent or supplementary. Okay? So that's just a summary of what that chart said. Now, we're going to do some problems here, and we need to state something. Now, it says state all these things. A and B are kind of the same thing. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to look at the two angles they've given me. They've given me this angle right here and this angle right here. How are those two angles related? Same side. And so if I say my answer to parts A and B is I have same side interior. And what are same side interior angles? Are they congruent? Are they supplementary? What are they? Yes, they're consecutive. But are they supplementary or are they congruent? Should say right up here, right? Same side interior are supplementary. So I state same side interior, and I want you to state supplementary. Okay, that tells me why you're going to set up. Okay, so if they're supplementary, I'm going to set up 34x plus 3 plus what? 75 equals 180. So 34x, and then 3 plus 75 is what? 8. Right? I'm going to subtract 78 from both sides. (180 minus 78), 102. Divide by 34. And what does x equal? (102) divided by 34. Is there another way I could have set that one up? Yes or no? If they're supplementary, and I know this one's 75, what does that tell me about this one? It's going to be 105 degrees. If together they're going to equal 180. So I could have just set 34x plus 3 equal to 105. That's another way I could have gotten my x value. Either way. Okay? All right, number 3. Number 3 is a funky picture. They're giving me this angle right here and this angle right here. How are those two related? Has nothing to do with it. I could cover that up and it doesn't affect my parallel lines or my transversal. So I have alternate exterior angles there. So for the first part of my answer, I'm going to say alternate exterior. And what are alternate exterior angles? Are they congruent or are they supplementary? So alternate exterior, and I'm going to put the little congruent symbol, because that's the equation is going to look the way it's going to look. I should say that that's part C. So now I solve my equation. What do I set it up as? 6x plus 3 is equal to what? 45. Now what do I do to solve this? Subtract 3. X equals what? 42. Divide by 6, and x equals 7. Okay? So we're just making more complex pictures, but we're trying to pick out the same types of relationships. Can you stop clicking your pen, please? Thank you.
Can you just like they were equal to each other? Like, say that.
I did.
Oh.
All right. Number 4. What do we have going on here? A lot of stuff we don't need. Right? Do I need this third parallel line down here? Nope. Do I need that? Nope. There's my 2 lines of my transversal. What do I have there? 2 angles that are what? Corresponding. So, for part AB, I have corresponding. And are corresponding angles congruent or supplementary? They are congruent. So I'm going to put that congruent symbol. And again, that's the justification for my equation. What's my equation then? X plus 71, what? 65. Subtract 71. And x equals, what's 65 minus 71? Negative 6. Notice I haven't degree measures on any of these, because they're x values, not degrees. They're not angles. All right, what have I got going on in number? Nope, not vertical angles. They're directly next to each other, aren't they? I don't even need that other line. They are a
Linear pair.
linear pair. Is a linear pair supplementary or congruent? Supplementary. So, 12x minus 2, that's one of my angles, plus 3x plus 17 equals 180. Okay, so let's deal with what's on the same side of the equal sign here. 12x and 3x is 15x. Negative 2 and 17 is positive 15. Why am I talking over people? Please don't. 180. What do I do from here? Subtract 15. And let's see, 15x is equal to 165. Divide by 15, and what does x equal? Well, I know 15 times 10 is 150. It looks like it equals 11. Okay. All right, you try 6 and 7. Give me the justification, say what kind of angles they are and whether they're supplementary or congruent, and then solve for x. All right, what's the relationship going on in number 6? Vertical angles. And vertical angles are congruent. So, you can label part C. What does that mean about them? I can set 7x plus 7 equal to 8x minus 2. I'm going to subtract 7x from both sides to get my x's together. So 7 is equal to x minus 2. Add 2, and what does x equal? 9. Okay.
Oh, that would be right.
And what about number 7? What do I have going on? Is what?
Linear pair.
Linear pair. Or congruent? And so I can say that 8x plus 6, there's one of my angles, plus 12x plus 14 equals 180. So let's see, same side of the equal sign. 8x and 12x is 20x. 6 and 14 is 20, equals 180. What am I going to do next? Subtract 20. So 20x equals 160. Divide by 20. And x equals 8. And that was part C right there. Okay? Questions there. We're just adding this justification step in there at the beginning. Okay? Now, when you get your homework, make sure you read the instructions for each section to determine if you... And 9. Try 8 and... All right, so what do I have going on in number 8? Alternate interior angles. And are alternary or congruent? Alternate interior angles are congruent. Guys, you have to be willing to flip your page over to at least read it if you don't know. Okay. All right, so if they're congruent, I set 9x plus 6 equal to what? 11x minus 6. So I'm going to subtract 11x. Now what? Subtract 6. So negative 2x equals negative 12. Divide by negative 2. And x equals 6.
Doesn't matter where you place your numbers. Well, I put 11x minus 6 first. And then I did
Doesn't matter. If they're equal, it doesn't matter which one. Okay? All right, number 9. What do I have going on? Corresponding angles. Good eye. So corresponding. Not going to be able to fit this. D-I-N-G. Okay, corresponding angles are what? Congruent or supplementary? Congruent. By the way, you can tell bottom right of that intersection, bottom right of that intersection. This line could be totally, as well as that one right there. Okay. So, do I have... So if I were to look at the lines that make up this angle, which would be this line right here and here, correct? That one is the 14x. And then the lines that make up this would be this one and this one. And it does say that these two lines are parallel, right? Yes, there's an arrow there and an arrow there. Boom, boom. And this one is 15x minus 5. If I'm able to trace those and just look at them, it's a little bit easier to see you have corresponding angles. Okay? If you can't visualize what's going on there. So, what do I know about them? They're congruent. So, 14x equals 15 minus 5. I'm going to subtract 15x. So, I have negative x equals negative 5. Divide by negative 1. And x equals positive 5. Questions at 10. What does it tell me? It tells me A is parallel to B, so I'm going to mark that with a little arrow. A is parallel to B, and then P is parallel to Q. Because I already used the arrow. So what do I need to do? 2 arrows. Right? Because that'll mean that they're parallel to each other, but not parallel to the other ones, obviously, because they're intersecting. So, if the measure of angle 1 is 3x plus 2x plus 70, find x and state the theorem used. So my first question is, how is angle 1 related to angle 3? What's their relationship, though? Intersection,
Yeah.
upper left of an intersection, which means they are what? Corresponding. And corresponding angles are what? Congruent. Guys, can you please just put your phones away for 30, 40 minutes while I teach a lesson? Are you able to do that? Drets. Gosh, okay. Corresponding angles. So that means they're congruent. So what's my equation? 3x plus 40 equals 2x plus 70. I'm going to subtract 2x from both sides. Now I'm going to come up here because I'm running out of room. X plus 40 equals 70. And I'm going to subtract 40. So x equals 30. Okay. Part B is a little trickier. Actually, you know what? No, we're good. Okay. So if the measure of angle 2 is 4x plus 7, and the measure of angle 3 is 5x minus 13, well, how are 2 and 3 related? They're on opposite transversals, aren't they? So I need to do a little bit of thinking here. I know that 3 is congruent to 1, right? So if angle 3 is 5x minus 13, I'm going to call angle 1 also 5x minus 1. I can relate to 2 now. How are 1 and 2 related? Alternate exterior angles. So I did corresponding first. And corresponding angles are congruent. And then alternate exterior. And they are also congruent. So what does that mean? Angle 3 and angle 2 are congruent, right? Because if 3 and 1 are the same, minus 13, I'm going to subtract 4x. So 7 equals, add 13. And x equals what? 20. All right, number 11. Same type of diagram, different angles labeled. We still have parallel lines there, and we have parallel lines here. If angle 5, angle 6, and angle 7, so similar idea, they're giving me these three right here, I need, okay, so can I set, well, I know 5 and 6 are congruent, right? Because they are, oh, good comment, thank you, yes. For B up here, it says find the measure of angle 3. I only did the first part of the problem. How do I find the measure of angle 3? Once I have angle 3 is going to be 5 times x minus 13, which means the measure of angle 3 is 5 times 20 is 100, minus 13 is 87. Now we have a degrees. Thank you for fixing that for me. Okay. All right, so down here, 5 and 6 are related how? What type of angles are they? Guys, you just took a quiz on this on Friday, and we spent 3 days on it. What type of angles are angles 5 and 6? Alternate exterior. So therefore they are congruent. Okay? 5 and 6, can I set up an equation? I can't, because one has an x and one has a y. An equation's not going to get me anywhere. I need an equation with only x or only y in order to solve it. I can't solve something with 2 letters. So, what about 5 and 7? How are they related? They are corresponding. I can set up an equation there. So corresponding, and corresponding angles are congruent. So that's angle 5 is congruent to angle 7, which is how I can set up 2x minus 10 is equal to what? Right? 2x minus 10 is equal to x plus 15. So I'm going to subtract x. That gives me x minus 10 equals 15. Add 10. And x equals 25. There's half my answer. Okay. Now to find y. Well, I think the easiest way to find y is involved with angle 6, right? I think the easiest way to find y is going to be to actually find some of these angle measures. So angle 7, if x is 25, what's the degree measure of angle 7? 25 plus 15? Isn't that 40? This one should also be 40 degrees because they're corresponding, and that means they're congruent. 2 times 25 is 50 minus 10, that's 40 degrees. So what do I know about angle 6 then? Because they are what? Alternate exterior. They are also congruent. So this should also be 40 degrees. So angle 5 is congruent to angle 6. So if angle 5 is 40 degrees and angle 6 is 4 times y minus 25, I have an equation I can solve for y now. Divides nicely. So y minus 25 is equal to what? 10. Add 25. Y is equal to 35. Okay. All right, you try 12 and 13, and then hold off on 14 and 15. I'll help you with those ones, but you try 12 and 13. Oh, I got x. So if 12 times 7, I can get an angle measure. 84. And our A. Linear pair. So they are supplementary. So 6y plus 8, there's one angle, plus 84 equals 180. I'm going to subtract 84. 6y, why did I subtract 84? Well, I'm doing this a difficult way, apparently. Plus 18 equals 96, and now I'm going to subtract the 18. What could I have done to save myself a step there? Combine my like terms first. Oh well. 96 minus 18 is 78. Divide by 6, and y equals 13. So there's number 12. Number 13, I also have, let's see. 9x plus 12 is not related to 3x, is it? Well, 9x plus 12 is related to 4y minus 10, right? Though congruent, yes? So let's see, what about these ones? These ones are supplementary. So if these two are the same, and these two are supplementary, what can I say about those two? Actually, you know what? Let me do it a different way. If this is 9x plus 12, 9x plus 12, so using vertical angles are congruent. Same side interior angles are Supplementary.
She just told us to buy.
So 9x plus 12 plus 3x equals 180. 9x and 3x is 12x plus 12 equals 180. Subtract my 12. 12x equals 168. Divide by 12. And x equals 168 divided by 12 is 14. So now to find y. If x is 14, what's 3x? 3 times 14, what's 3 times 14? 42 degrees. So this angle is 42. How are these two related? Pair, which means they are supplementary. So 42 degrees plus 4y minus 10 equals 180. Or in other words, 4y plus 32 equals 180. Subtract 32. Oops, sorry. Subtract 32. And I'm going to come over here. 4y equals, what's 180 minus 32? 148. Divide by 4. And y equals what? 37. All right, last two. An auxiliary line is what you add to a picture to help you solve it. Okay? If I look at this, angle 1 isn't on either of those parallel lines. So angle 1, I haven't got the faintest idea how to get. It's not going to be alternate interior because this is a bent line. It's not a regular transversal, is it? So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to draw that line is parallel to these lines. So in other words, I've added a third parallel line. That's going to be my auxiliary line. And if I look at that, can I find this angle right here? Right here? Why? Interior, right? So that means this angle right here is 60 degrees. Now that's not angle 1, but it's part of angle 1. Let's see if we can find the other part. Here, if this is 65, what is this one? Why? Alternate interior. So don't I have enough to say that that whole thing together is angle 1? So 60 degrees plus 65 gives me angle 1. So the measure of angle 1 is what? 125 degrees. Okay? You try. There's my auxiliary line. Did you fit? Then please work on it. What's this angle right here? 62 degrees. Why? Alternate interior. What is this angle right here? Not 144. How much is it? 36 degrees. Why? These are same side interior, which means they're supplementary. They need to add to 180. Is 62 degrees plus 36 degrees. So the measure of angle 2 is what? 98 degrees. Okay? All right. Happy studying.